Today's session is called Off the Beaten Time. One day, a long time ago, I was in my 20s. My brother and I went to Thailand for vacation. We had never been and probably never have since then been on vacation, just the two of us. It was super. He had some time free. I had some time free. The round trip tickets were ridiculously great priced. So we traveled to Thailand. We got there from different places, from New York and from California. And we showed up in Thailand. And we were exhausted. We were so tired. We had come from different places. Oh, sorry, no, he was traveling from Asia. He was working in Asia at the time. So we got to Thailand and we, very normal, jet lagged. We found had a hotel, motel, whatever, wherever we stayed. We had a place, we stayed there. And as soon as we got there at 4 p.m., we fell asleep. We were just exhausted. We fell asleep and we woke up at something like 2 a.m. And as we woke up in Chiang Mai at 2 a.m., we were really hungry and really awake. So we got up and we started walking around and we realized that it wasn't that we were walking off the beaten path. In fact, we were quite on the beaten path. We were in the main streets. We were on the main promenade, the biggest street in that city. So we were quite on the beaten path, but we were off the beaten time. I actually like to say that there's a good sound to that phrase. So we decided that we're going to do this kind of travel, which might be on the beaten path, but off the beaten time. My question to you today is, what can you do in your life that's off the beaten time? That's off the typical time, off the usual time when most of the world is doing it, off the usual time when you have usually done it. I'll give you some examples. For those of you who are interested in having a great system for organizing your home and your housekeeping, you may have heard on YouTube, online, about this person who goes by the Fly Lady. And that's because she loves fly fishing and she's a lady. Her name is Marla. She's really, really, really detailed and superb at what she does. So I've just been looking at her things a little more recently, and she's been doing this since 1999, giving really specific advice to people about how to keep things organized and in place and simple and not a lot of effort. And one of the things she recommends, I hope you're as shocked by this as I was, she recommends cooking dinner after dinner. She recommends having dinner with your family and then wrapping up, playing with the kids a little bit, and then cooking dinner for the following day. That might sound a little weird to you so bear with me. Listen to what some of her devotees have said are the benefits of this. And I am telling you, I did this yesterday and it's very, very interesting. So you have dinner with your family and you have dinner by yourself. And you might know that tomorrow's dinner is going to be a little hectic and fast to try to get together after work. So she says, just make dinner in the evening. Make it, put it in the fridge, get it so it's just heated up. So last night at about 10 p.m. when the kids were in bed, and just before I was going to go to bed, I made dinner. It was ready last night. It's ready today. It's going to be ready for dinner time. It's very weird, but it also puts you a little bit ahead of the game. And there's no hecticness or stress on the actual day of because everything's way ready. I don't even have to think about it throughout the day today. I'm not saying I will do this all the time. I love cooking fresh. I happen to love cooking and vegetables and making things fresh. But sometimes I can make things off the beaten time. So I've given you two examples. I've given you our Chiang Mai, my brother and I's Chiang Mai situation where we were on the beaten path, but off the beaten time. And then I'm giving you a very weird example of making dinner after dinner. What is something that you can do off the beaten time? I'll give you a few more examples, but keep giving me, thank you for the smiley face, keep giving me comments of things that are relevant for you in this discussion. All right, a few more examples of off the beaten time. There is a marketing professor at the Stanford Graduate School of Business. Her name is Jennifer Acker. She's actually just about to come up with a book that she's co-authored called Humor, Seriously. Humor Seriously. I think it's going to be really great. I've taken some of their coursework. She's superb. I'm a big, big Jennifer Acker fan. And when I started my PhD program, she came in and she spoke to all the PhD students who are going to be in there for 5 years. You have to do a lot of work by yourself. So it's a lot of solo work in a PhD program. And she said, check in on the time. That's your time. You know what your time is. You know if you work great from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m., which is when, who was it? Who was it? John Grisham? He wrote all of his books. He had a job as a lawyer, and supposedly what I've read is he did all his writing from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. to get these phenomenal books out before his day job. So if your effective, amazing, creative, strategic time happens to be 5 a.m., consider that. If it happens to be 3 in the afternoon, consider that. If it's 2 a.m. and you're a grad student, consider that. And Jennifer Rocker's advice, if I'm getting it right, was choose an hour and a half of dedicated time. Most people don't even do that as graduate students. You'll have classwork, you'll have studies you're running, but choose an hour and a half of dedicated time, and you're every day at your optimum time, and you're going to be so ahead of the game. I'll give you another example. Now that we are working from home and my kids have school remotely, they are on different Zoom calls, that they have a great program. They can pick up their instruments, their musical instruments, off the beaten time. So we have sometimes that we're not rushing to get out the door in the morning for school, and my son will pick up his cello and play song number 16 in the Suzuki book. Or my daughter will go and try to play at the piano between lunch and her next Zoom class. That's off the beaten time. They wouldn't have had a chance to do this if we were driving to school, going to school, coming back in the afternoon. When we did that, they had practicing of 5 minutes a day in the evening, which they didn't always love because it was so predictable. It was always at the same time. Now it's off the beaten time. And to summarize our discussion today of off the beaten time, I am specifically asking you for when you want to do your most strategic work, your most creative work, your biggest kind of work. And just consider it, just play around with it. You may not get it right at the beginning. You may experiment. And if you've seen anything at all in our episodes here, we are all about experimentation and action and trying things out. Thank you for joining us. Tell me what your biggest takeaway today is about off the beaten time. What are you going to do in terms of off the beaten time? Let me know in the comments. What is something you can play with? What's an experiment you can run that's off the beaten time? And as you're letting me know, please know that we are here Monday to Friday, 11 a.m. Pacific for 20 minutes each day. Off the beaten time. What does that make you think of? What can you try off the beaten time? What might you not have thought of? We encourage you to play with it and to have fun with it. All the best. See you again sometime soon. Off the beaten time. Oh, great answer. Just as we're wrapping up, let me put up one answer. Yes, paperwork. It would be great to do paperwork off the beaten time, just to find out when that is. And maybe even to do it for just 15 minutes. You're bucketing it. It's done in that time, what you've gotten done. And that's already a little bit of a dent. Yes, do paperwork off the beaten time. Thank you so much. All the best, and see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific.